Hi, I'm Kate with Kate's Paper Creations. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Washington State, and I would like to welcome you to my weekly video featuring products from the current Stampin' Up! Catalog. I make these videos weekly. I have current catalog products on Monday, Blast from the Past, bringing back previously available stamp sets and updating them with current products. And I also do a Casing the Catalog day. And once in a while, I do a Simply Saturday as well, where it's just a very simple single layer or simple card. But today we are featuring items from the current catalog, and I am featuring the Joyful Holly stamp set, which is this stamp set right here. And all of the rage seems to be Slimline cards. All over the internet right now, and of course I had to jump on board as well. So today we are making a Slimline card, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. When they are made, you can buy special Slimline envelopes, but I haven't found out whether or not they're actually mailable with regular postage or not. But I do know that a number 10 business size envelope is mailable with current regular postage. So I just put my Slimline cards into a regular number 10 envelope, and you can make it look pretty like I have done here, and it makes a nice little set to send out. So let me tell you how I made this card. Let's get started. To make a Slimline card, you're going to cut your base piece 7 by 8.5, and then you are going to score it at 3.5, and that's going to make your Slimline base card. Burnish that. So there's our base card. Then I cut a piece of regular Whisper White, and this is the first layer, and it is 3 by 8, and it will leave, I'm going to run out of adhesive here, so let me get one started. Here we go. It will leave a border around, a little bit larger border than this typical, because I wanted that beautiful Blackberry Bliss to show really well behind. So it's basically a 1/4 of an inch border instead of the typical 1/8 inch border. Put that on there like that. Then I cut a piece from Artistry Blooms Designer Series paper, and it is 2 7/8 by 7 7/8. And then we'll go ahead and attach that to the front of the card. And this one is going to leave just a 1/16 of an inch white border all the way around like that. So it gets just that little bit of an offset, which I just love. Then the art piece, what I call the art piece, the piece I'm going to stamp, it is cut 2.5 by 7 3/8, and it's going to sit on here just like this. And again, it's a little bit smaller. It has the 1/4 inch border all the way around, because I wanted to be able to see that beautiful Designer Series paper behind there. So we're going to set this aside for a moment, and we're going to work with the front of the card. So as you can see on this one, the outline is gold embossed. I'm hoping you can see that. And I played around quite a bit with how to do this, because you could stamp and emboss, and then you could use the fill stamps that are in the set and just stamp the green inside here. But regular Stampin' Up! Ink will not dry on the gold embossing. So then you would have to come back with some tissue paper or something and press it on there until to get the excess that would be on top of the gold. And that proved to be somewhat problematic. So I didn't like that option. So then I tried stamping the green first, which is the detail piece, and you kind of got to know where to put it, because then you have to be able to come back with the outline, which is larger, and figure out where it fit. So that was problematic. So I'm just telling you what I went through trying to figure out how I wanted to make this card. So then I just ended up deciding to stamp the outline with Versamark and emboss it, and then color it with the blends pens. So that's what I ended up deciding to do. The blends pens, if you do get it on the gold, will dry because it dries on non-porous surfaces, so you don't have to worry about smearing or anything. And I think it came out just lovely. You want to be somewhat careful when you're coloring, so that where's my stamp? There it is. So that you don't cover up too much of the gold. And I'm looking around while I'm trying to talk here because I'm looking for my embossing buddy. I know they discontinued these, but I still use mine all the time to keep from having embossing powder stick where I don't want it. And I do my fingers too, so that I can just keep from getting oils on the card and having embossing powder want to stick where I don't want it. So I'm going to use, get the right one. I'm going to use the larger of the two detail images for the holly, and I'm using Versamark ink. And the first one I'm going to have come out from the center and just come down like that. And that's okay that there's a little bit of green in my Versamark. Actually, it's kind of nice to be able to see the gold embossing powder is going to cover that up without any trouble at all. And then the second one, I'm going to do the same, just come out from the center and to the edge. And then we will put the powder on, and I should be heating up my heat tool. I like to preheat my heat tool because I think it works a little bit better and a little bit faster on melting the powder when I preheat the tool just a little bit, and causes a little less warpage and stuff. I think that's just my personal opinion. I get these cute little scoops. They're just from the kits that you use for science experiments with kids, and I just have a bunch of those. And the tray, of course, is a discontinued Stampin' Up! Tray, which I kept because it's so handy. But you could do that on a piece of paper and save your excess gold. Okay, I think I've got pretty good coverage here. I'm gonna bring in this noisy thing here, and we are going to heat set this. And hard to tell unless you got the lighting just right to see what's melted and what hasn't. Give me just a minute here. That one looks pretty good. Let's get this one. And like I say, I went through several pieces of paper and experiments this morning trying to figure out the best way to do this, because I really wanted this gold outline, and this was the best way I could come up with to do it. I also tried just hand coloring it with our regular markers, but again, if you get any of it on the gold, there we go, it's not going to work because you have to have something to dauber up that extra ink that gets on the gold, because it won't dry there, and then you've got the potential of it smearing, and that's not good. Okay, so then I just used the blends pens. This is Shaded Spruce Dark. And I just started coloring, and like I say, I did try to not cover up the gold any more than I had to. It will kind of dull the shine of the gold if you do that, and so I just did my best to keep it in the lines. And you get to see how it works. And it takes a little while. Some people like to color and some people don't. And I don't mind coloring once in a while. I don't know that I'd want to do bunches and bunches of coloring, but it's not so bad to do a little bit. And as I've said before, someday I might actually invest in some of that in one of those fancy video programming things that video editing programs where you can take and fast forward through stuff like this, and you can watch the pen just scoot away and you think, oh, I wish I could color that fast. But nobody can because it's on fast forward. And then you can do voiceover and put music underneath. I'd love to be able to do that even just with my intros into the videos, is to put a little musical intro into my talking videos. But for now, that's not going to happen. Plus, once I buy it, then it's still got a learning curve. I don't know. There's a lot. I mean, technology sometimes starts to really get to me, and I go, I'd like to just have it be easy sometimes. So that's another reason why I probably haven't made the leap. And like I said, this will fit in a standard number 10 business size envelope. It's a little bit large for the card, but you know, it fits, and then you know you can send it out with regular postage and you don't have to worry about it costing more just to mail it. And you know, in these times, saving every penny is kind of important. So that is not a bad thing. They do sell, and I have looked around, there are standard Slimline card envelopes, and of course some places are out there and they're selling them in all these beautiful colors and everything, and so they're out there. But again, I'm just trying to make it work, and I'm almost done here. I appreciate you hanging in there with me through this tedious part of the project. I try to have most things ready. So there's that part. And then I used the Real Red Dark to color the berries. There are a couple of different things you could do with the berries. You can color them with the marker and then come back and add some Wink of Stella just to add a little bit of shimmer. You could also, being it's on the front of the card, you could also put rhinestones. I have done that on a previous card where I colored the rhinestones. I bought the regular clear rhinestones, and the 3mm size are perfect for these berries, and I have colored them with this blends pen because it dries permanent on non-porous surfaces. I saw some white here I wanted to touch up. There we go. And then you can make them any color you want, so they work really well. Okay, this is going to go on the front of the card now that it's done. It's just going to go on the front of the card flat like that. So let's do that. Because of all of the wonderful layers, I didn't feel it needed to be popped up with dimensionals. The layers create that look of dimension without having to actually add it. And again, like I said, this is a wider border. There we go. So there's that. Then for the center, I used the Stitch Stars dies, and this is the 2 and, oh, I can't remember. I'll have to measure it. Yeah, I think it was 2 7/8 or 2 3/4 inch star. And I cut it out of the Blackberry Bliss, and then I cut the white out of the next size smaller. And I am going to stamp with Blackberry Bliss from, where's my Blackberry Bliss? There it is. A sentiment from Itty Bitty Greetings called "'Tis the Season," it says. And I am just going to stamp that right across the star here, like that. And then I'm going to just attach the star flat to the mat of the Blackberry Bliss one, so it has a little bit of an outline. It looks so cool. And then I am going to attach this with dimensionals, and we'll just put a couple, 3 of them on there, kind of around the center of the star. Let's make sure that doesn't show. And I'm going to put it right here in the center over those. And there's the outside of the card. Then for the inside of the card, I already did it. It's the same exact process I did for the front of the card. I stamped this. This is the smaller image, holly image, and I stamped it and embossed it with gold and colored it all in, just like I did on the front. And then I used the stamp, May Your Season Be Merry and Bright. That also came from the Joyful Holly stamp set. This piece for inside is cut 3 1/4 by 8 1/4, and we're just going to attach it, of course, flat to the inside, just like that, with that 1/8 inch border that we typically leave. And there's the inside of the card, just like that. Then here's that number 10 envelope, and you saw it earlier. Here it is where I stamped it, and I'm going to show you what I did. I just opened it up so I could see where the flap is. I'm using the smaller of the 2 holly images, detail and shaded spruce, and I am just putting several images across the flap, just like this. Just like that. Then I came back with the fill stamp, and I stamp off once, and then I just eyeball it, and I just line up. I find one of the hollies, you can see through the stamp, and I hold it at an angle and kind of get it all lined up before I lay it down and do that. And it works just fine. It's not perfection. If you're a perfectionist, this might not work for you, because I don't get it 100% centered every time. To be sure and stamp off each time. I'm doing that so that the color I'm adding is just a little bit lighter than the outline, so it shows up nicely and gives you that detail. And there's our flap. And then all I have to do is color in the berries. And because this doesn't have a backing on it, I'm using a regular marker to color in the berries so it won't soak through the other side, because blend pens will do that. And so, not that it really matters, but I mean, if you're selling the cards, you might not want the flap to look funky on the back side. If you're just mailing it, it's going to get stuck and it's not going to matter. But in case it matters, we will do it this way. Just coloring in. There is a stamp in the set that fills these berries in, but I'll be honest, I just have better luck just coloring them in myself, just like that. And so there's the card for this card. I mean the envelope for this card. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed stopping by today. I hope you'll consider subscribing to my blog and to my YouTube channel, and that you would also be willing to shop in my online store. Thank you so much for coming by.